Welcome. My name is Michael Waniger, and it's been my privilege to be the president and CEO of Hibiscus Children's Center as we enter our 30th year, 30 years of taking care of children who've been abandoned, neglected, and abused. And again, today, I'm privileged to have a good friend, one of our board members, our vice chair to be, Travis Walker. Travis, thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you, Michael.
For those of you who are new, and I know we constantly are having people move into the community, Hibiscus Children's Center was founded in 1985 by a delightful lady who is still very active by the name of LaVon Tilton. Her quest basically was, where does children go when they have nowhere else to go? And for the last 25 to 30 years, we have basically been a safe haven for these children, over 250,000 safe nights where these children would not be anywhere else. And one of the things that is so delightful about this organization and so successful about this organization, it's a regional organization in 4 counties. And the community here has embraced Hibiscus Children's Center for the last 30 years. And again, one of the great aspects of having this particular affiliation with children is to meet what this community does and how they support them. And Travis, again, I want to welcome you this morning. Travis and I go back a little bit, don't we? When I had the opportunity and was very fortunate for a couple of years to be president of the Education Foundation here in St. Lucie County, and I got to meet Travis there. Travis is a product of St. Lucie County Schools, and very proud. And I was very moved at your speech when you talked to the scholarship graduates. So obviously, you are a great role model for this community. And again, I tell us a little bit why you want to get involved with Hibiscus and what you do, because you do so many wonderful things.
Sure. Thank you, Michael, and thanks for the opportunity to speak here on something that's so important as Hibiscus. And we do go back Education Foundation, still serving over there on the board. They do great work as well, and I've served with the Boys and Girls Club of St. Lucie County. I'm currently served with the United Way of St. Lucie County, and obviously here on behalf of Hibiscus as a board member, and hopefully come a couple days as vice chair. It's an important organization. It really centralizes and looks at the children in our community who are hurting the most, emotionally, sexually, physically. They're all dealing with issues, and what really spoke to me was visiting the shelter in Jensen Beach. We have a few dozen beds there, and they're almost constantly full because the need here in our community is so great. And it is a 4-county Treasure Coast organization that really focuses in and not only brings the kids into the shelter, but also provides other services, emotional support, mental support, because how devastating abuse is to these children, and its effects have a ripple effect across the entire time. So I'm very excited to be here, and to give back to St. Lucie County is very important to me. I graduated from Port St. Lucie High School. I got my associate's degree from Indian River State College, went on to Florida Atlantic, and got my law degree from Florida Coastal School of Law in Jacksonville. And to come back to the community to serve on these different boards, including Hibiscus, is a privilege and an honor, because you just really are able to give back to and help support the community that supported me. So I'm looking forward to continuing to excel and work with Hibiscus. Again, it's such an honor and privilege to serve on a board that really serves the smallest, most special people of our community, and that's our children who are abused.
Absolutely, and basically the mission of the Hibiscus Children's Center, although it remains the same, has actually been expanded. The role that we do, life has changed in the last 30 years here on the Treasure Coast, as it has everywhere. LaVon's, really her dream was to have an emergency shelter, and you referenced Jensen Beach, and I invite all of those in the listening audience to sit there and take time to go down and visit the shelter. It will move you. I promise you that. In 2004, we built the Village up in Vero Beach. And again, this is for children 13 through 17 years old. The shelter was designed for newborns all the way through 12. And just in the last 3-4 years, we've opened up the mental health services here in Fort Pierce. The reason I say it's different, Hibiscus is not the same Hibiscus it was 30 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, or even 3 years ago, because society has changed. Unfortunately, the state of Florida is the 3rd largest in human trafficking. Sexual abuse treatment is a program that we have, and we have about 15 in the state of Florida. Where fortunately, our mental health service team has grown from 1 clinical therapist to now 9, and which is really great because we're addressing the issues of prevention before we have to sit there and put the cure. The 2 biggest areas that happen why our children come to us are domestic violence and substance abuse. And again, so we're trying to do this, and again, we work with the legislature in Tallahassee, and I've been very fortunate to be able to work with them. And this is something that's going to be happening this next year. On the legislature, group residential homes and mental health services are really part of the keynotes as far as this next session. In fact, the session starts early this year, January the 12th. How can the community get involved? How can you get involved? I mean, what specifically drew you to the, other than the mission, which you so eloquently said, but what really, I can tell I've known you for a number of years now, and you have something inside that just basically says this is the right thing to do, and that is contagious.
Well, thank you, Michael. I certainly don't think that highly of myself, but I certainly appreciate it. You know, Hibiscus, I was exposed to abuse. Being an attorney, I got involved with a dependency case. And dependency cases, as you know, are basically when the Department of Children and Family comes in and does shelter hearings and does that type of thing where, you know, you see, it's a very confidential, it's a very sealed court proceeding, but essentially you see firsthand some of the abuse that takes place, and, you know, it's out of the public eye for the confidentiality and the protection of the children. But, you know, seeing a case like that and knowing that, you know, this is just one layer of the onion that's going on out here, and to be able to put that and to be able to serve on a board where, you know, these children that are involved in these cases, that are involved with this abuse, they have a safe place to go. They have, you know, emotional and mental and physical support, and they have a happy, nice place to be and live in, because they're at home. Unfortunately, they're dealing with domestic violence issues. They're dealing with abuse issues. And, you know, I've served with the Boys and Girls Club of St. Lucie County, and, you know, that's a safe place for them and while they're living at home. But in some instances, these children, they don't have the ability to stay in their home because it's just not safe. And Hibiscus provides those services. And so in my heart, I know that, you know, having seen what goes on in the court system, in just knowing that there's children after children that are dealing with this, and we see the reported numbers, but we know those reported numbers are just a sliver of what's actually going on out there. So the more that we can get out and talk about Hibiscus, the more we can talk about the services they provide. And, you know, for people to speak up about abuse is imperative and really brings things to the forefront.
Well, and you said something about numbers, and so many times when we talk to people about numbers, they really don't understand the consequences behind the numbers. As I mentioned earlier, we've had over 250,000 safe nights for children. Behind every one of those 250,000, there is a child. And behind every child, there is a story. And yes, we do work with foster care families, but not all foster care families are right for every child. Yeah. I think it's really important to understand what group residential, I've had a number of I'll say the graduates, if you will, who have come back in their late 20s, early 30s and sit there and said, you know what, Hibiscus Children not only saved my life, it gave me purpose. We've been able to create some programs like right here in St. Lucie County. One of the programs that's nationally acclaimed is Supporting Families in Crisis. It's a prevention program. And what it does, basically it says is sometimes as the economy with the unemployment goes up, goes down, different types of things, creates emotional havoc in their own homes. And somebody could say, oh my gosh, all of a sudden people who are living paycheck to paycheck no longer have that opportunity, and things happen. Stress happens. Unfortunately, people turn sometimes to the wrong avenues instead of getting the right ones. So what's been able to happen is Supporting Families in Crisis can help some of these families before it gets into the level where the children have to be awarded by the courts to us through our case management. We've also been able to develop programs for the teenagers. We have a Career Pathways program up in Vero Beach, which is wonderful. It's also done by a grant. And we haven't been able to get a new GED teacher, which I'm just very proud of the success rate, because some of these kids have been in 30, 40 different foster homes. And when they go into so many homes to that level, what also is their education follows. And one of the things that we do, and many people don't understand when we say residential care, we're not just as a home that shelters and food and clothes people. We're there to try to create some sense of normalcy. you know, and again, the programs, and it's due to the volunteers. I'm very, very pleased to again, the audience out there. We have almost 150 full-time and part-time people who work, 350 volunteers. And if you're interested in that, you know, we have a website that'll be going on from time to time to please call up, find out what you got, even if it's just reading to the children, attending them at an event or whatever it might happen to be. I challenge you all that your life will change for the better.
Absolutely. And I wanted to specifically point out another board member, Lois, who's just an excellent asset to the board and a huge heart for the organization. She actually was the one who took me by the hand. I was in my law office is in Stewart, the shelter's in Jensen. She said, "Come on down," and I took a half day off work, went down to the shelter. Checked it out, and it's just you know, it gives me warm fuzzies all over and chills, because it's just so amazing, you know, what can be done there, and to know and looking in these rooms and know that this is a safe place, there's a sense of normalcy, as you say, to bring them, to take them out of situations that are just terrible. You know, it's heart lifting, and it's warming.
Yeah, Lois is also, not only has she been involved with the guilds and all the fundraising, and I would like to sit there and explain that we are a 501c3 nonprofit organization. It takes about $7.5 million for us to sustain the 4 county areas, all the facilities, everything, and about $2.5 million roughly we need to do revenue streams from the community, which every year the community steps up. We have fundraising events, we have grants that we work with, we have volunteers. Again, these are things that are really critical to sustain that, because all of these things cost money. I was very, very proud of our organization this year. 211 recognized Hibiscus Children's Center here in St. Lucie County as, out of about 200, the #1 nonprofit organization in the county. And that's the testimony to our staff that we have, our volunteers, and again, our board. And our board is so diverse, which is really great. You have somebody who's accomplished as you are to be able to do this, and we have people who are retired and everything in between. And why is that important? Because that mirrors our community.
Right.
We have so many different people from different walks of life that sit there and say, you know what, I can make a difference, and I will make a difference. And again, I've been fortunate in my life. I've been able to spend 2.5 years on the board, and then as the CEO, this has really been almost like a calling, if you will. I mean, I defy people to sit there and get involved with Hibiscus and not really sit there. We get so much more than we give. My favorite day of the year is once a year I put on my one and only red suit. I go to this shelter that we talked about there. There were 30-some kids last, about the end of December. I'll let you figure out what day it was. And I got up at 4 in the morning, and a lot of these children came up there who have never, ever had a holiday.
Right.
They never had presents. They didn't understand that. And their eyes was wide open. And I'm like, gosh, you know, they'd sit there and they talked about things like, where are the reindeer? Well, they're up on the roof. Or, you know, or one child sat there and said, gee, this is incredible. I've never understood that. That will make a difference in these children. We all know by Maslow's theory, they said basically, unless a significant emotional experience happens by the time you're after 10, they're formulated in what they have today. So again, these are great things. And again, this is something the community here does exceptionally well.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I really enjoy and what's unique about Hibiscus is it's a homegrown charitable organization. It was started here and it's grown here. And so really when people get involved with Hibiscus, they're not getting involved with an organization that has support from a state or national level. It really is all right here on the Treasure Coast. And so that's another reason why I like the organization, is it helps provide that local support. It's locally grown, and it's local support for our local children.
And again, funding is very always going to be, you know, an important hurdle for us to take and move forward. So we have to work with the legislature. We have to sit there, and we're very fortunate here in St. Lucie County and the Treasure Coast to have Gail Harrell, who is our representative and a founding board member. And again, we've had the opportunity to have people from like Mike Carroll come to speak to our community, who's the Secretary for the Department of Children and Families, a great advocate, Kurt Kelly from the Florida Coalition. And I'm excited, again, in a couple of days, we'll have our new fiscal year beginning, our new board. Bob Lowe, who was the president of St. Lucie County, is now the new chair. And he's has some great ideas, and under his leadership, I am confident that Hibiscus best days are in front of us, not certainly behind us.
Sure, and Bob has a huge heart for the organization.
Absolutely.
And you know, look forward to working with board members. And it is quite a diversified board, as you said, you know, both geographically, you have people from all over the area, as well as different professions, different ages and everything. So it's exciting. And, you know, I know that there's a huge heart out there for these children, and they're trying as much as they can to do the right thing and get these kids, you know, taken care of.
Yeah. It's kind of a bittersweet show for me. Will be my last show as the CEO. Doesn't mean I won't be back. Doesn't mean sometime I won't be back again as perhaps a guest for the new CEO that's going forward. But I'm very proud of what we've accomplished in the last few years. I mean, candidly, we have 4 programs from the thrift store to the shelter to the mental health services to the village. And as we start our new year, this is the first year and perhaps ever Hibiscus Children's Center will be revenue neutral going forward. We were able to do that. The staff has been, obviously every time you make a change, you have a chance to make it better. And again, I'm just absolutely excited about, I almost feel like the old Ronald Reagan deal. You know, are we better off today than when you started? Well, I hope so, but I think we are. And the community is the reason why we have that. That award that we won for being the best nonprofit wasn't an award for us. It was an award for the community.
Right.
I mean, that's the thing that we have to understand. And these children, the rewards that we get is when you look into their eyes and they sit there and thank you. We have a young lady that I'm thinking of right now, because again, there's so many stories. I go up to the village, and she didn't think she could finish her GED. And she sat there and she goes, Mr. Michael, Mr. Michael. She would chase me and she says, you've got 3 more classes. You can do this. You can do this. I don't know if I can, you know. And what we have to do for these children is give them the motivation, the inspiration, the hope. Hey, if I did it, you can do it. And that's what they need to hear. Right. And then I was so proud. She got the 3rd one done. Then she got the 2nd one done. And the 1st one, she literally ran all over the village because she had heard that I was up there that particular afternoon to sit there. She was so beaming with excitement that she says, I did it. And she said, you know, and I tell you, it almost brings tears to your eyes to sit there. She said, and you helped me do it. She said, I didn't think I could do it, but she says, you helped me. And that's really the spirit of what you get when we're helping these children. We understand we're not going to be able to save everyone. Right. But if we can do a couple here and there, make a difference in these children's lives, what modest successes I had in my life, I know I didn't do on my own, and I'm sure you feel the same way. People helped us, and this is exactly why, even though we have a big retirement community that comes forward to come down here to retire, what a way to sit there and have your next life. I mean, I believe everything in life prepares you for what you're about to do. Right. As my father used to say, it's in the big book, you know, like that. Absolutely. And I totally didn't understand all of it then, but I understand it now. In fact, I started talking like my father and my grandfather. One day I think I became both of them at the same time. Sure. But these are the values that, again, that make this community unique in not only in the state of Florida, but I think within the United States.
No, absolutely. I think you hit the nail on the head. I think we certainly don't get here on our own. There's a famous saying that says, you know, if I see further, it's because I stand on the shoulders of giants. Right. And so I didn't get here on my own, and I certainly hope that somebody, you know, I can help and help them pursue their dreams, their goals. You know, help them in their lives, because other people have helped me in my life, and I certainly, again, my modest accomplishments wouldn't be anything without the help of others. And you know, think of Principal Charles Kumo from Port St. Lucie High School. Think of others that are just amazing pillars of our community, and certainly want to thank you for your service for Hibiscus, and you know, look forward to hearing about your future accomplishments at your next position. And certainly I think what you've been able to do is tell the story. And in my faith, it's always about telling the story. And in this instance, we're telling the story about Hibiscus and the importance of its role in the community. I invite people who are interested, who are curious about Hibiscus, who know children who may, you know, benefit from some services to reach out to Hibiscus, get involved. You know, not necessarily on a monetary standpoint, but even your time. You know, if there's high school students that are looking for an organization to put some time into, it's an awesome organization. And like you said, you get more out of it than you give, because you just feel like you're really making a difference in people's lives. And
we are making, you know, I have a lot of times people come back to me and say, can you follow these kids? You know what, they go afterwards. And of course, after they turn 21 years old, it's incumbent upon them to come back and tell their stories. But I did have one young lady come into the office the other day, and she told me she was in a foster care situation, and she's approaching 30, let me just put it that way. Right. And due to confidentiality, but she sat there and she told me her story. And she says, you know, Hibiscus was really great. I felt safe because I was with other kids, the staff was professional. They understood it. I couldn't get away with anything, you know, it was like that. But this became her family. And in many cases, it's not necessarily appropriate for some of these children to be placed in a foster family because that's where that opens up the wounds of how they got there in the first place.
Right.
We look at in the village, unfortunately, 90% of the children that come up there are on some form of psychotropic medication. And they need to be, and basically they just need an opportunity to have inspiration to say that somebody cares.
Right.
And some of the things that, you know, that we were taught as children all the way through by our parents, they never had that opportunity. The Career Pathways is a great example. Here's a program where we allow kids who are 15, 16, 17 years old in the community, fully funded by a grant. Impact 100, the ladies up there started that 3, 4, or 5 years ago, and now it has the sustainability. But they can actually go pursue their interest. Get a check. This didn't come from grandma. This didn't come from the state. This is something, as I tell them, they earned it.
Right.
And that's really what a wonderful feeling for the first time you get a paycheck, say, you know what, no one gave this to me. I did this.
Yeah.
And this is a program from Career Pathways that sit there, and many of the kids now, they're working in the police department, they work at the library, they're working at the local boutique store, whatever their interest might be. Right. And then as a result, some of them who've aged out now sit there and have the opportunity to really pursue their dreams. And as I try to tell everybody, don't ever take a job for money. Follow your passion. Be the best at what you like to do,
right.
and the money will follow, that type of thing. So these are things, again, we kind of want to work with the children.
Absolutely. Anytime we can help, lift them up, lift the children up, and help them to know, that there's people out there who love them. And,
exactly.
Not only the things about teaching them throughout their lives, but know that there's people out there who love them. And sometimes that's missing in their lives. And, I have to give a huge kudos to the staff of Hibiscus and the volunteers of Hibiscus because they really go out of their way to make these children feel wanted, to feel loved, and to feel like there's a caring, safe normalcy for them.
And the normalcy tends to be the optimum word, if you will. We have different organizations come in there, like for the banks, we'll come in and talk to some of these younger kids that are getting their job. Okay, why they need to have a checkbook. How to effectively use an ATM card. And oh, by the way, that's like money. You have to pay it back. It's just this and coming this out.
Right.
How to fry an egg. How to do a resume. How to sit there and talk eyeball to somebody.
Absolutely.
And really be able to express yourself in a way that's going to be good for you down the road. These are things that a lot of the children have never had that opportunity to take part in. And this is what, again, just one of a myriad of different things that happen. A lot of the children now are starting to go back to school.
That's right.
They had some summer camps this summer that we were able to take them with, again, to hopefully have some type of normalcy again. So, again, it's people like yourself, the volunteers, the staff, and you're absolutely right. I could not be more proud of the staff that we have. I can assure you, nobody works for their paycheck. They
Right.
work for the rewards that we have, and they happen every day.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's incredible what staff's able to do with the resources that they have, and it's another thing that just makes me. It's just such an honor to be a part of this organization.
It's an organization that continues to get better. I mean, the fact that a nonprofit has sustained itself for 30 years is really a testimony. And I go back to LaVon Tilton again. This lady is a walking saint. I can honestly tell you that you spend a couple moments with her and you understand what it's all about. And what a wonderful thing to have in your life. Here's a lady who had a dream. And she said, what do these children go when there's no place for them to go? And now to sit there and see 30 years later, to see what she initiated, what she started, I think is almost overwhelming. And you spend a couple minutes talking to her, and you know everything you need to know as to why Hibiscus Children's Center is where it is. So
Yeah.
that's really, really important.
And not only has it sustained, but it's grown, and she's still involved. I mean,
Absolutely.
if you go to our Hibiscus events, which I certainly implore people to get involved in, either volunteer or attend, you'll see her there, and you'll know that her heart was there, been there, will be there for this organization, and it's just a testimony to what this organization is all about.
You spoke about events, and we're about to end in the fourth quarter. The fourth quarter of the calendar year and the first quarter of the calendar year are really our big fundraising events. Each county has their own separate events. And not every event's for everybody. There's a golf tournament, there's fashion shows, there's gala, black tie if you like. There's lots of fun events, and they're really good events, all with one intent, to sit there and raise money for Hibiscus Children's Center. Because, again, the costs are, we do get some support from the state. But, again, that's not reoccurring dollars. I mean, every year we have to sit there and go to the legislature, persuade them, understand that what it is. I talked to one representative the other day, and he said it very well. He said he lives in a home that was built in 1839.
Oh, wow.
And so, you know, he said I had to build like a little storage unit next with all the tools. So he said all the windows are different, the joists are different, the pipes are different. He said I got 6 different wrenches because of this happens. I wasn't sure where he was going on this, but the point became very obvious. He said it's not a one-size-fits-all.
Right.
And basically what we do in the group and residential home and the shelters and what we're doing with our mental health services, trying to get this, is that each child has a unique set of opportunities and challenges.
Right.
And so not everybody is right for maybe the one particular foster family, or maybe it's right for a residential or the shelter or whatever it happens to be. So we have to sit there and make sure that what we're doing when we assess these children, what's in their truly best interest to make them the most productive members of society. And what seems to happen in many cases, I found out, is some of these children come back and that become adults and everything, and they have shared with me privately their story. Somehow down the road, they had some form of abuse, and they want to break that cycle.
Right. No, and you talked about it. It's the recurring money from legislature, and you know, obviously we're always putting on these events because, you know, I run a business, but as a board member, it's a different type of business for a nonprofit, and sometimes we're providing services that they just don't make money for the organization, but they do a huge service for the children. And you know, to be able to provide these services, you know, not only is it even from your most cynic perspective. You know, we're providing services to these children, but we're also preventing activities and behavior that could go on in the future by, you know, helping these kids now so they don't end up in bad situations in the future and not learning from the mistakes that maybe they were taught when they were children.
I see the clock on the wall. There's about a minute left. And basically, I just wanted to take a moment and tell the community, again, what a privilege it has been for me to be a member of the board of Hibiscus, to have been the president CEO, to have been able to share the wonderful memories and the things that are continually that happen with these children here in St. Lucie County, in Martin County, Indian River County, and Okeechobee. And I think it's just really, I ask that the community, again, continue to embrace. If this is the first time you've heard of Hibiscus, look on the website, find out how you can get involved. It will change your life. As I said beforehand, we have a wonderful new board, a new organization. We'll have a new CEO going forward. There's no question in my mind. Hibiscus' best days are ahead of us. And again, it'll be making a major change in what happens in children's lives. Travis, thank you for being with me today, with our organization, with the community. And I look forward to your continued success as well.
Thank you, Michael. I appreciate the kind words, and I thank you for the opportunity to sit here and share and tell the story about Hibiscus.
Thank you.
Thank you.